Hey, good morning, you lovely lot. It's Valentine's Day, it's February the 14th. And if you've liked, subscribed and rung that bell, I love you just a little bit more than all the others. I love all you viewers, of course, but the ones that have liked and subscribed, I loved you the most. But anyway, look at this. I know we say it every time that it gets better, and this is the best sale we've ever had. But as you join me over these next 4 videos, I've got 2 car videos for you. I've got 1 motorbike video, and Elliot's just gonna spin around and give you a quick teaser of that. Look at this. The best bike room we've ever put together. And we've even got some toys and collectibles. So 4 videos all together. I'm gonna have to smash through it, guys. Don't forget, if you're clever and you're watching this on the day they come out, you've still got Wednesday, Thursday and Friday to view, even a tiny bit of Saturday morning. The auction will start at 9 and the lots start going through from 10. So do come if you can in person. If not, I will do my very best for a quick run around now, but do come and have a proper look. Massive listings, loads of descriptions, loads of videos, all the book packs on every single lot listing online. And of course, if you want more detail, give our lovely consignment team a call. They will talk you through as if you were standing there with them. So don't ever bid not knowing the full information. That's what we're all about. So let's start with no further delay with this beautiful 1969 Morris Minor convertible conversion. Believe it or not, this was not leaving the factory in this beautiful condition. This started out as a saloon and was converted in 2011 at the great cost of £8,500 by the Morris Minor Millennium Company. And my word, they did a good job and they used all the correct panels. So I defy almost anybody, unless you're an utter geek, to know that this wasn't a factory conversion. It's really nice. It's got 69,000 miles showing on this 1969. Beautiful interior, professionally converted, as we say. It's maroon with biscuit hood. It starts on the button. The guys have driven this. As with all good Morris Minors, they drive beautifully. There was a reason that the Morris Minor was the driving school car of note during the period, because they're so easy to drive. There's also a reason why these are such a popular classic, because again, if you've never had a classic car before, this is a very simple car to jump in. Even though it's 1960s, the lightness of the controls, the easiness of the drive, Morris Minor convertible, everybody will love you, everybody will toot and flash at you, everybody will let you out of a junction, and if you've got kids, they will think this is absolutely wonderful. Now, despite the fact it's a very nice base car anyway, and you can see the condition of it, despite the fact it's had £8,500 spent on it to convert it to that standard, our estimate on this is £6,500 to £7,000. So ready for the spring and summer, a beautiful way to drive, and just the sheer cuteness. You want to cuddle it, don't you? And that's the beauty of Morris Minors. And let's not even talk about how easy it is to get parts, spares, whatever you need for this car, order it online, be with you tomorrow. They are just a delight to own. Great car, wonderful starter classic. And like I say, if you've got kids or grandkids, probably the best thing you could own. Now this is a bit of me, 1987 Scirocco GT, low mileage. The car has done 72,000, that is all genuine. A lot of originality here, folks. Now don't you think that the Scirocco, particularly the Mark II, Mark 1s are making mega money, that we know. Mark 2s haven't quite found their stride yet financially. There's a huge amount of scene tax on a lot of water-cooled Volkswagens. Think of things like Mark 2s, Mark 1 GTIs. You pay a fortune for those. As yet, the Scirocco isn't quite there, but I think, based on Mark 1 prices, they have to be. And this one's got 3 former keepers. It's really unspoilt inside. Let Elliot come and have a look. Come with me, Elliot. You're going to come around this way or that way? He's being contrary Mary and going the wrong way. Have a look at this. So that is pretty much as she left Wolfsburg, and all the better for it. It's got a pop-up sunroof, factory fitted. It's got a nice Kenwood radio. It's got the original dealer plates. It's got the book pack. It's got 24 stamps in the book. It's even got hella spotlights. But just come and stand here, Elliot. Just come and give me the front 3/4. Give our lovely viewers at home. Aren't they a crisp, well-proportioned, nicely styled car? I just think they look so good, and it's a really nice colour, this. I don't know how it's coming across on your telly, but that's like a very light gold, or silver with a hint of gold in it. It's beautiful. But like I said, you're not going to pay a lot. Original car, monster service history, loads of original bits and pieces on it. 4 to 5 grand. Imagine if that was a GTI Mark II Golf, 10 grand, 12 grand. Utter bargain, it can't last. An incredibly usable classic. Other than keeping it out the salt, you could drive that all year round, and I think you'd have a lot of fun if you did. Very nice car. I would like to own that one. Wheeler Dealers, what can we say? Wheeler Dealers is celebrating 20 years on television this year, and with good reason. Wheeler Dealers, one of my favourite car shows. I try and watch every single episode, and I watched the episode of this. Now the debate rages, is it a Vandom Plus or is it a Vandom Plus? I am assured by my good friends in the BMC, British Leyland World, it is Vandom Plus, apparently, and Fuzz says it's Vandom Plus, so I've got to be guided by that. It's gorgeous. If you've watched the episode, you will know all about this car. If you haven't, we've put a little link to the YouTube video on the listing for the car. Have a watch. do a bit of Googling. Mike and Elvis spent a lot of time and a lot of money doing this properly. Let me talk you through the highlights. It's obviously a very rare model anyway. It's a 1500, it's done 51,000 miles, it's auto. And if you know, the whole point of the Vandom Plus was to create a little Bentley, basically, a little Rolls Royce. The marketing department at BMC thought, wouldn't it be great if all of the retired older people who used to have Rollers and Bentley had a smaller car that fit in their garage, that gave them all the comforts they had, so Connolly leather, Wilton carpets, all that kind of stuff, but was smaller, compact. And that's what the Vandom Plus was. If you look, you have real walnut, real leather, deep carpeting, and then this always makes me chuckle, because I used to have one of these, and it was an awful lot of fun. Mrs. Cowland could never understand the appeal, but look, imagine, there you go. This is what I mean about it being a baby Rolls Royce. All of the accoutrements of a roller, all the running costs of an Allegro. Clever, isn't it? So obviously TV featured. The engine and gearbox had a £4,000 overhaul in July 2023. We've got the invoices for that. There's loads of other bills for 2000. And what I cannot stress enough, guys, is TV cars, particularly when you get to the level that Wheeler Dealers is at now, they really go through them, you know, tooth comb, because they don't want anything coming back, basically. So this car will not only have had the money that you see spent on it on television, I guarantee through the Wheeler Dealer workshops that have done loads of other sundry bits they won't have accounted for. So that is not going to be an expensive car. £5,000 to £6,000. It's worth that anyway, just for being a really nice Vandom Plus. They're a lot of fun. They're a bit quirky. Love them or hate them. I particularly love the Harris Man design that this is, and I think when they put this ostentatious grille on the front, it just made it absolute comedy. Bit of fun, bit of silliness, real TV provenance. And I tell you what, if you buy that car, I will get Mike Brewer to do you a personalised note. I'll get him to do you a WhatsApp voice note, just welcoming you to ownership. So there you go. If you buy that car and it makes over £6,000, I'll get Mike to do you a little voice note. There you go. You don't get that at any other auction house. MG midgets, we love them. They are tiny. I don't really fit in them, but I can admire them from afar and wish that I could be more than a passenger. This one's particularly nice, 1972. It's a round arch midget. So if you look at midgets, the round arch refers to this very short production run where, funnily enough, the rear arches are rounded. On a lot of the others, they're squared off. And I happen to think that the round arch is the prettiest of all of them. It's my personal opinion. This one's lovely. It's an ex-show winner. It's been with the current owner since 1995, restored in 98 to a remarkable standard. I would agree with that. Come and look here, Elliot. Come and look at the beautiful vista that is this interior and this dashboard, and the quality it's been done to. It's really nice. Now, I bang on about this every single time. If you're buying a restored car, the most wonderful thing in the world is to buy a car that was restored 20 years ago, because any filler that's sunk, any rust that was badly treated, anything like that, it all comes through. So fast forward to 2024, you get to see all the horrors. And what's amazing, so this has been restored since 1998. There are no horrors. It presents beautifully, which is why it's a previous show winner. And you think of the money that would have gone into it then. 1998, you could have restored this for a few thousand. Fast forward to do it to this quality today, you're into significant five figures. But you would buy this car, ladies and gentlemen, in this gorgeous condition, with this wonderful resto that it sat in for all that time, for between £8,500 and £9,500. Now, I cannot stress enough, you couldn't build it for twice that, maybe even 3 times that. The quality is that nice, and that paintwork is stunning, the interior is perfect. What a lovely little car. Fabulous thing. Things I should step away from because they're too tempting. Come with me. 1949 Chevrolet 3100 pickup. Again, cars that have had ridiculous bills spent on them so that you don't have to. This one, £25,000 spent on upgrades alone between 2009 and 2010. It's been with the current owner since 2009. Came over from Pennsylvania in 2008. As I say, 25 grand spent on it. Have a look at the interior. Elliot's a skinny lad, he'll squeeze through here. I'm gonna see if I can get this door open for you. Have a look at this interior. It's just lovely, this. Really nice. I can't open the door. We'll go on the other side. The door's locked. There you go. Very high security on this, as you can see. Very difficult to steal. Much harder than a current Range Rover. Ah, that one's unlocked. There you go. So have a look at the lovely interior. It's just great, and it looks as good underneath, guys, as it does on the top. It's got P700 headlights, and since it's been here, it's done 12,000 trouble-free miles. And these 49s, I think, are just such a lovely shape. The proportions of these and the styling, it's just very much of its time. But the thing is, unlike a lot of British 40s commercials, I can't get in those. But again, because it's made for Americans, and I'm probably American size myself, I fit perfectly in that. So it's just a really usable thing. So what's the engine? It's got a small block 350, it's got an R4 automatic, it's got a TCI front end, a Ford 9-inch back axle, new brake pipes, American racing wheels, a 3-inch custom exhaust. It's got a tow bar, and I'd imagine this will pull your house, never mind your race car. Electric fan, wiring harnesses, so you've got all of this gorgeous retro vintage look, but underneath where it matters, what somebody has done here is replaced and upgraded the parts with some really useful stuff. This is a classic 40s car you could drive every single day in the summer, and it makes the best noise, perhaps the ultimate antidote to an electric vehicle. I adore that very, very much. You could buy that car for 25 to 27 grand. So basically, someone's done all that work, you're effectively getting the truck for free. Okay. 25 to 27 grand, and like I say, at today's prices, that's probably 40, 50 grand to build to that kind of standard. Now this car is like meeting an old friend, and in fact it's owned by an old friend actually, very old friend. Drew Pritchard's and Salvage Hunter Classic Cars, 2 TV cars for you today. This is the Carmen Beetle that he and I did on the show, and it's an amazing story this. So if you watch the episode, and again there are links to the episode in the listing for the car, we found this car from a very cool collector who brings a lot of stuff over from California. The whole thing, believe it or not, was covered in blackboard paint, I guess painted sometime in the 70s or 80s. And with thinners, we very carefully took all of the blackboard paint off, and nearly all the paint you see on this vehicle is the original factory paint. The only paint that isn't, the deck lid is a non-original deck lid. We think that was probably replaced a year or two after the car was made. So that's the wrong deck lid for the year, but we put the correct number plate light on it. We had to paint the front of the car, and with a very, very clever guy called Steve Parsons, we patinated. So all of this you can see here, so some of this is real patina, that is there, look, that's actually real rust. It's all treated, but here where we've blown it in, so there you would never know, so there, that's the line, that's the original paint, that's all the new paint. I defy anybody to tell me where the old paint ends and the original paint starts. So it's very, very cool. But Drew bought the car off the production. He loved it so much because it's got original interior, original roof. We had never seen, both of us, and we're air-cooled Volkswagen fanatics, we've never seen a car that's quite so original. It's beautiful underneath as well. Drew paid quite a lot of money to buy it off the production because he had to make sure he was paying fair market value. That's the way that telly works. But then, being the fanatic that he is, he took the body off, he took the engine out, he took the gearbox off. They were all split, disassembled. He put the correct gearbox in at some point that had been upgraded. He put it back to the correct one. He then spent another 20 odd grand. This car owes him an obscene amount of money, but it drives like brand new. So you get this lovely patina on the outside, but underneath, and please look at the photos online, or better still, come and see the car. It's like a brand new car. He spent as much, again, making it perfect. But you could buy this car with the provenance of the show, and I'll happily tell you all the stories. I've got some great photos of this as well from behind the scenes, which if you buy this, I'll happily share with you. I've got some great video from behind the scenes with this car as well. It was a bit of a honey, I have to say. But you could buy this. We've estimated this 25 to 27,000 pounds. So again, half of what it's cost to build. I love buying cars like this. Someone else does all the hard work, you get all the benefit, you make the saving, they take the pain. That is the beauty of buying cars restored to this standard. And can't stress enough, have a look underneath. Mind blowing, mind blowing. What's cooler than a 2CV, in my opinion? A Dian, because it's rarer and it has a hatchback, so it's a bit more practical. This is cool, isn't it? 1968 Citroen Dian, beautifully patinated in the Drew Pritchard style. We're going from a very patinated car, and again, this is all legit. This has the Gallic charm of, just look at this. This is the kind of thing that I just adore. Look at the edges here, look. Where over the years, through washing and polishing, it's just slightly burnt through the edge, look. Can you see? On all the bonnet edges. And that's got this, the lightest non-structural rust. It's just adorable, isn't it? So someone's put new seats in it at some point. Again, why is all the cars locked today? Are we expecting trouble here in Runcorn? Very nice area. So let me see if Elliot can open this door. You can get in them on sale day, guys. Don't worry, we'll unlock them all on sale day. There you go. So low owners, it's been in storage for 42 years. It's been sleeping. Recently recommissioned. It's a left-hand drive. Don't worry about that. You get very used to it. And in a car that's this slow, because people say, that Gallic build quality. Oh. People say, left-hand drive car, I can't do any overtaking. It's a Citroen Dian. You won't be doing any overtaking anyway. Doesn't matter. Just sit there in the slow lane, looking unspeakably awesome, driving around. And again, a bit like the Morris Minor, a car that everyone smiles and waves. Everybody lets you out of junctions, which is good because you haven't got any power to get out if they don't. Just unspeakably mega. You don't see Dians anyway. You always see 2CVs. You never see Dians. I cannot convey. I'm going to let Elliot do another little tour. Just look at all the little bits of patination. I don't want to sound like Drew Pritchard, but this car is patinaed to absolute perfection. But then the two things you don't want patina on, which is the roof and the seats, have been done again. So you're going to sit comfortably and it doesn't leak. What would I pay for an immense motor car like that? I would pay, or you would pay, somewhere between £5,000 and £6,000. And I think, bearing in mind you don't see that many of them, and it's such a beautiful colour, with some really tasteful recommissioning and upgrades, I think a potential bargain. Right, Moggy Minor section now. We've got 3 Moggies for you. Do you prefer a saloon or a two-door? I think the saloon's very nice, very handy for putting ankle biters in the back. This is very nice, isn't it? 1969 Morris Minor 1000. And as we've already established with our convertible, incredibly easy and lovely to drive, incredibly easy and lovely to own. This one has a very look at me interior. It's lovely, look at this. 2 previous owners, wonderful colour combination as well. Tax and MOT exempt, ULEZ exempt, everything exempt. This is as new. The odometer says 4 miles from new. So this is ridiculous. So this is basically, this is insane. So this has been stored for 25 years. So it just hasn't been anywhere. So basically it was restored, put into storage, and that's it. So the car hasn't driven. If you want a car that is as new, that is about as close as an as new Morris Minor saloon as I can get. Wonderful colour. And what's that going to be? It's not going to be a lot at all. That is going to be £6,000 to £8,000. Again, cannot stress enough, guys, you cannot restore cars, particularly with current prices. A good restoration place is going to charge anywhere between £70 and £100 an hour. Typical classic car restoration can be up to 1,000 hours, easily, or certainly several hundred hours. It's very easy to see how restoring even the most mundane of classics can run into 5 figures. You will buy most of the cars today for either a half or a third of their restoration cost. That's the way to do it. And if you can't afford to do it straight away, speak to our guys at Fast and Funded, our finance partners. It's so much cheaper to finance a car that is already restored for the next 3 or 4 years than to actually do it piecemeal. And the other thing is you're enjoying it today. Unless it's a classic car you really want to restore, it means something to you, the sentimental value. Restore those ones. But if you just want a nice one, finance it, have it today, drive it for the next 4 years. It will probably go up during that time and at least offset your interest payments. And if it doesn't, who cares? You'll have driven it for 4 years. This is gorgeous, isn't it? I prefer the 2 doors. I think the proportions are even nicer. This is a 58, so this is really, really early. Lovely factory standard car with 58,000, owned by a member of the club, a UK car. Just absolutely lovely, really nice condition, one of the nicest colours. And it's just got that authenticity, that sort of genuine feel. Let me just open up the door. Doesn't quite have the jolly red interior, but it's impeccably tasteful, and I would say that's been in there a little while, if not the original seats. So owner's club car, it's had over 9,000 spent on restoration in 2008. So I know you're paying attention. I know you're listening that older restorations are the ones. So that's restored in 2008, yet still sits and presents as beautifully as that. That is very much a bit of me. Always give me a 20-year-old restoration or a 15-year-old restoration over a recent restoration anytime, because all recent restorations look fabulous. Only really high quality restorations look good after 15 years. Mini 30, very exciting year for Minis, of course, this year, anniversary year. Always a good time to buy a previous anniversary special. And of course, everybody's getting very excited about Paddy Hopkirk's Monte Carlo win as well. So Minis are good news. You'll notice that Mini prices seem to be climbing inexorably at the moment. Good ones particularly are worth getting and hanging on to. But they're also a really usable classic. They're not just a great investment. I'll tell you why they are a great investment though, because they're 10 foot long. So even if you only have a tiny garage, you can probably stash a Mini. And if you have 1 or 2 classics in your collection, you've probably got room for a Mini, as I say, because they are so small. This one is very, very nice. 10,000 miles, it's a time warp. We think from all the research we've done that that is a genuine mileage. 2 previous owners, it's been part of a private collection. It's just lovely. Let me give you some of the bills. So it was supplied to the previous owner by the very renowned Mini specialist Richard Williams at the price of £16,600 in December 2022. So he also believes the mileage is correct. So in all of the people that have had this car go through their hands, we've all been checking the mileage, and as far as we can see, that is a genuine mileage. So it's an unusual opportunity. You don't often get the chance to buy them in this condition at that mileage and not really needing any work at all. So because of that, it's not going to be cheap. You're going to pay somewhere between £15,000 and £17,000 for this car. But I think all the Mini specials are cool, but the 30 to me is one of the most tasteful, I think, particularly with the trim options they went for, the way they sat, the arches, the lines, all that kind of stuff. I think it's one of the best looking. So yeah, take a deep breath, take your brave pills. You are going to spend a lot of money to own it, but I think you'll be very, very happy if you do. This is a bit of fun, and again, it's not going to cost an awful lot of money. Commercials are such great classics to own because you can do so much with them. You can have it as this company has done. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with any whiskey in. And these, if you look, these are stickers, guys. These, if you're very, very careful and a little bit of heat, these will all peel off. This is just vinyl. So all of this, and this is actually one big piece of vinyl as well. So you can either drive around looking very groovy with whiskey on the side. No whiskey comes with the vehicle, I'd like to point that out. Or gently apply a little bit of heat, peel those off, apply your own business's name, and have probably one of the best rolling billboards you could. Now, they're not very fast, the Fordson vans, so if you are taking it to a show, it might take a while, but when you get there, you can trade out the back, you can carry your stock. We sold a lovely Morris Minor post office van to a guy that has a record shop, and he uses that every day still as his mobile billboard, parks outside of his record shop, and he is known as the guy with the record shop because of the van. I could see this doing a very similar thing. So it's got the wrap, that will all come off. It's got good tyres, it's got the side mounted spare, starts and drives beautifully, some 30,000 miles. It is everything exempt, as you'd imagine. Loads of videos of this driving, and it's just a nice thing. You won't pay a massive amount of money for these. 10 to 12 grand would buy you that. And it needs nothing, absolutely nothing. Just peel the stickers off if they're not your taste and have a lovely Fordson van. Run it bare, run it with your name on. Either way, if you are running it as an advert, you can put it through your business, so it's all tax deductible as well. Then when was the last time you saw one of these, or when was the last time you ever saw one of these? Looks very much like the car out the Incredibles, doesn't it? The old NSU Sport Prints. These are super rare. A good friend of mine, Frederick, he loves NSUs, and you can see why. They're just amazing bits of styling. You've got bits of 1950s American styling. This one's done 65,000. It's a UK supplied right-hand drive car, so it's got to be super rare. Not many people went for these in the 60s. This was very much a left field choice. It's got the rear suspension and brakes from an NSU 1200 saloon. It's been upgraded to electronic ignition, but somebody has been rallying and having fun with this. So as you open the door to this super, super rare right-hand drive, this is kind of the GT3 RS, look, there you go. It's got a cage in the back. So this is the NSU Sport Prints GT3 RS version. It's got the cool little sports wheel. It's a lot of fun. So it's an interesting thing. It's got the V5 seat, it's got the old style logbook as well. It's got all its old MOTs, loads of invoices. If you're a purist, this maybe isn't the car for you, but if you want a car that's going to be a little bit less than they would normally fetch, then it's potentially the one. And the best thing about this car, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think it's no reserve. Yes, it is, it's no reserve. So that's a lot of fun, isn't it? Go to a car show, no one else is going to have one. If they do have one, it's not going to be race converted. And it's a no reserve car, so you set the price. I'm surprised that's no reserve, because that could be worth quite a lot of money. I guarantee if you buy that, you're going to have an enormous amount of fun. Look at the things like the oil cooler on the front as well, look. It's got some really cool mods. Just take a moment to drink that in and have a look what it has. You've got oil coolers, period rally lights. Look at these with a mesh on, they're fantastic. It's a right-hand drive British car. They make a great sound, these, and then you've got that cage. I think that's the potential bargain of the sale, and because of what it is, you could take that anywhere, to Salon Privé, to Revival, and people will just give you that nod. There aren't many cars you can buy cost effectively that you just get the nod. And car people know what I mean. You'd get the nod in that car, you really would. People would think you're a little bit cool. Moving on. Now, when we say things like this, we really mean it, guys. We don't sort of throw these things out there. This is a 1967 Mini Cooper S, that much you can see, but this is probably the best one for sale at the moment. We have gone through this with a tooth comb. We're very lucky that we have Tim on staff here. Tim is our Mini expert, and he goes through all of these Minis and checks the credibility, the authenticity. He is the man that knows if the washer and the spring and the boot latch are correct for year, and if not, he will soon tell us that. So this was restored in 2017 to a remarkable standard with invoices, you know what's coming, don't you? For over £50,000, not including the purchase of the car. And as you've seen from the stuff that we sell, just getting a decent, correctly papered, correctly shelled Mini Cooper from the 60s, the base car is going to hurt before you start restoring it. We think this is one of the last Mark 1s registered. The car was stripped to a bare shell next door to me in Pro Strip in Nottingham, really good lads down there. It was chemically dipped, it was zinc coated, and then restored in 2017, just out of its box basically. Really, really nice. New wiring loom, engine and gearbox have gone to Downton Engineering. It's got engine set up by Steve Harris. So basically all the names you want on this car have worked on this car. Gearbox converted to 4 synchro, upgraded to electronic ignition, and it's got its heritage certificate. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Please, if you are seriously thinking of bidding on this car, take your time to pull the bills. The bills will make your hair curl, make your toes curl, make your head spin. It's just an obscene amount of money, an obscene amount of money. And again, goes with the story, doesn't it? So if you think of the cost of the car, the cost of the restoration, the cost of all the people it's been to, and do take your time to go through, you're probably, I don't know, about 70, 75 grand's worth of car here, and you could buy that for somewhere between 40 and 45. So the moral of the story is, if you buy a beautifully restored car, that's where the money is to be made. Despite what we tell you on television, if you restore a car to this standard, you're never going to make any money on the restoration of the car. The restorer will, but you, the owner, will not. The owner that does make the money on this car is the owner that buys it from the person that restored it, keeps it for a little while, enjoys it, and that's where the money is to be made, my friends. And that could very well do it. Talking of other lovely minis at the other end of the scale, so getting towards the run out now, 1999, the Rover Mini 40. And again, if you want an immaculate Mini that needs absolutely nothing, if you want an early one, there's your Cooper. That's obviously going to be quite expensive. A little bit less money, but no less lovely is this one. Again, perhaps the best we've got for sale, or the best we have ever had for sale. 39,000, a manual car. It's a UK, not Japanese supply car, this one. A fresh MOT, which it just flew through. So pull the MOT report on that and have a look for yourselves. It's got all the right bits, all the right paints. It's just lovely. So 800 models were made with only 400 for the UK and 400 for Japan. And it's just like buying a brand new one. If you wanted to go back into the Rover as it was showroom then in 1999 and purchase for yourself one of these, look at that. It is as new, basically. But because of that, and this is what I mean about mini prices, you remember when 5, 6, 7 grand got you a nice Mini? Those days are gone, my friends. That is now between 18 and 20,000 pounds. Just going to let Elliot walk around this bike so he doesn't trip himself up. Well done, Elliot. Nicely negotiated. But look at that for an eyeful. Just stunning. Again, a car that needs nothing other than a new name on the V5, insurance, and a little bit of petrol, and she's good to go. So which you prefer? Have a little look. So that's the 60s incarnation of a Cooper. There's your run-out car. I do love the Sports Pack Arches. I do love the 13s. I think they look really, really nice on those. And they drive so well. That's mega. Again, you're going to have to pay big money for either the 30, the Cooper, or this lovely Cooper, because they are the best we can find. But we know you want the best ones. So moving on from front-wheel drive legends to hairy-chested rear-wheel drive awesomeness, how about a 1960 Austin Healey 3000 Mark 1, again a UK supplied car on its original number plate that is just really, really lovely. Extensive history, massive restoration through the 1980s to the 1990s. I'm not even going to tell you what that means because it sits really well. You can fill in the gaps for yourself. It's just had an £8,000 refresh. So there you go. A car that sits in an old restoration that's just had a stack of money spent. Just means you can just jump in and enjoy it. It's got all of its tonneaus and bits and pieces as well. It's just lovely. So it's a Mark 1. There's not many of them, and there aren't many at all in this condition. Of course, these have massive rally provenance. They really are one of the nicest looking cars of the period, I think. And it's still a benchmark today. People still use the Healeys as the benchmark for all rotors of the time. They just look good. What else can I tell you? Just great colour combination, loads of bills, older restoration, and just ready to go. 38 to 42,000 pounds. When you think they've just spent 8 grand tidying it up, somewhat of a bargainous package, I would say that. Very, very nice car. If you want one ready for summer, there she is, just ready to go. Now I have a bit of a thing for pre-war cars now. I don't know why, it's because I'm 50 now. I just suddenly find an appreciation for the aesthetic and the serenity of the pre-war era. And this is really good. And what's mad about them is they're not massive amounts of money. The market for pre-war stuff is relatively small. Unless it's something really special like this Rolls Royce, there aren't a massive amount of buyers for them. So therefore you can get really wonderful cars with exceptional histories, with lots of work done, for not a lot of money. This is 1937, this is a Hooper limousine. So if you have got a boutique hotel, or if you just want to smoke about looking absolutely the business, this is a wonderful way to do it. And it's been with the current owner for 50 years. And my word, do I like provenance like that. So let me just open this wonderful suicide door for you and let you look inside. And to be fair, there's slightly crazy access amount of room that you don't get. There you go. Obviously the idea was you didn't really sit in the front of your Rolls Royce, you sat in the back. So if your driver had to struggle in, not your problem. That's the help. The help sits in the front. You, my friend, you sit in the back. And as you can see, you have more legroom than you know what to do with. So there's a Hooper bodied car with glass division because of course you don't want to talk to the help. They're at the front driving around. We think this is the original interior, which is a bit special in itself. It's got an aftermarket temperature gauge. It's got indicators on which the purists do not love, but I think if I was driving a car of this era, I would want people to see me turn because it's like the Queen Mary. Look at the size of this thing. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous though? So this was done as a full one-off coach built. It had a new head fitted in 1990 when they became available again, and that's got hardened valve seats in, so you can run this on unleaded, you don't have to run additive. The cost of that cylinder head in 1990 was £2,800. So we've got some lovely old builds. But what's nice about this is she's not a garage queen, she's not a trailer sailor. She's done 150,000 miles and she looks like this. And to be honest guys, if you've got a car of this age, you don't necessarily want a low mileage car. What you want is a car that's been loved and used and serviced and maintained, because that car will always drive much better than one that's just sat in a collection and not moved. And ask me how I know, because I have cars like that and I've bought cars like that, and actually you're much better to buy a car that's used and loved and serviced. So a little bit of more recent refresh. Had a cosmetic refresh including a stripped, cleaned and painted front wings, rear wings and both running boards, painted bracketry and a painted roof frame in 2011 to the sum of £4,600. So she is not a concours car, but she's exceptionally presentable, really lovely. And like I said, you can't believe this amount of exclusivity. We're talking about getting the nod with the NSU. You turn up at Revival in the NSU or Salon Privé, you get the nod. Turn up anywhere in this and you get the nod. This is an old money motor car and people will love it. It's kind of the right side of flash, that, and £25,000 to £27,000 to look like this. And I guarantee guys as well, because of what it is and the era it is, if you can't get film extra and paid hire work with that car, particularly for things like war dramas, because of the fact it's a pre-war car, I would be utterly amazed. So you could make that car pay for itself. You could do wedding hire, you could do prop hire. That car will self-finance very quickly, very easily. And if you don't need it to do that, just enjoy it for what it is. Again, you'll never have more legroom in the back seat of a car. This is beautiful. Now we have got probably, I think, the most amount of gorgeous 1960s Jaguars for you guys in this next sale. The consignment team have done an amazing job. They have got some of the best cars we've ever had. I adore mid-60s Jaguars that aren't Mark IIs. Not that I don't love Mark IIs, I adore Mark IIs, but dare I say they are slightly more common, slightly easier to find in an auction. The Jaguars we've assembled for you in this set of consignments are the ones that you can never find. So starting with this 420, 1966, great looking, low mileage, 23,000 miles. The paint, if Elliot can come in, the paint is really nice on this. It's been repainted. It's been done to a very nice standard. The chrome is not bad at all. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Interior is gorgeous. It's got its heritage certificate. I would say, if Elliot can squeeze around there, that looks like either a very old restoration. You're gonna come through there, Elliot. Let's have a look. There you go. Have a look in there. It's either a very old restoration or a very nice original. Great condition on the paint. The leather seats with a little crease, could probably do a feed on those. It's got the 4.2 six-cylinder engine, so it sounds magnificent. It's got an MOT going all the way back to 1970, showing 16,000 miles. You don't pay an enormous amount for one of these. I mean, if you're paying by the foot, this is probably one of the cheapest cars here. 16 to 17,000 pound would buy you that. It's probably got 7 or 8 grand's worth of paint on it. And isn't it a beautiful car? Isn't it a beautiful colour? And the 420, I think, being that little bit more exclusive than the Mark II, I think is just the nicer car for that reason, because you see less of them. They're physically a bit bigger, and if you're a big lad like me, there's a bit more room. Now, if you're as old as me, you're probably singing the theme from Z Cars now. Here's a car we do not see very often at all, and probably never. In this condition, beautiful 1964 Ford Zephyr. A little slice of mini Americana. We've said this many times before, that Ford in England at this point were doing very much whatever they're doing in America, photocopied down to about 3/4, 7/8. So you've got this wonderful bluff front, and if you come around the back for 1964, a British version of a big wing. America peaked big wings with the 59 Cadillac. Here, this is about as big as we got really. This and the Farinas gave us our big wings. Look at this. And you'll see there, you look through the back, the multi-trophy winning Ford Zephyr, because this car has only done a recorded 25,000 miles, an insane amount of history and provenance. But look at this. Now, I don't know when these were fitted, these protective seat covers. It really reminds me of being around my nan's in the 1970s. So the good news is those seats have never been sat on, but you might want to take them off. You might want to sit on the beautiful seats. If you want to do the ultimate Ford Zephyr ASMR video, you could be the person that peels those seats off. I personally think I would peel them off and enjoy the beautiful seats underneath. But she is probably about as nice and as an original Zephyr as you could possibly find. They never come up for sale, and when they do, they're not normally this nice. But despite the fact you've got a mini yank, they're not massive amounts of money. If you look here, look, there's just a little bit of polished patination. She's not perfect, but all of this suggests to me that it's an original car. In fact, it just screams original car. You see tiny little blebs, look, tiny bit of burn through on the edge of the roof. But again, this is all screaming originality to me. The car does not look restored at all. Very original, 3 owners, 2 in the same family, which is why we really are believing the provenance. The dash is lovely, the interior, as you can see, as new, never been sat on. Your gran would approve of the plastic covers. And you could own that for between 10 and 12 grand. Talking of exceptional Fords, I mean, how pretty is this? And again, this era of Ford, you get so much car for your money. We're going to look at some beautiful fast Fords later, and I will ask you to get your big boy wallet out, or big girl, because they're a lot of money. But this, which is a 1965 Cortina 1500 Deluxe in probably the best colour combination they ever did, and with 55,000 miles on a manual, it's just gorgeous, like a little mini British surf wagon. Imagine this. Now, everybody puts roof racks on cars, don't they? Don't do that. It never normally looks good, but the one car I will allow it on is this. Imagine this with a period correct roof rack, 2 surfboards, take it down to Cornwall, you will just win. You will win everything. Look inside there, look. Look how beautiful it is. Look at the condition of the interior and the quality of this restoration. 5 former keepers, original owner's handbook and sales brochure. It had a bare metal restoration and it's been dry stored since 1989. It's just ridiculous, guys. You can't go back in time and order this car new, but this is the next best thing. This is almost like going back to the showroom. It's obscenely clean. So it's had a full mechanical overhaul. It's glacier blue over ermine white, which I think is one of the nicest combinations, as I said, they ever did. And everything we do, we can't categorically do it, but everything we've looked at on this car suggests that that 54,000 miles is legitimate, is the correct mileage for the car. So if you want one that is in exceptional condition that no one else will have, I don't know what the number left of these are. I would imagine it's probably very low double figures. But certain cars just look right. Certain cars are pretty and stand correctly and the colour just suits the shape. And that is that car. But you could buy this for 12 to 14,000 pounds. Imagine if that was an 80s fast Ford in that condition, what the quality and price would be. Well, you're about to find out. I've got one to show you in a minute. But utter bargain, beautiful, cheerful little car. So we're going this way. Elliot's testing me. Now, we were just chatting about this car, Elliot and I love an Alpena because this is the car that says, I could have had an M4 convertible, but I chose to be a little bit more tasteful, a little bit more restrained, and a bit less obvious. Because for those that don't know, this just looks like any old E92. But for those that do know, this is a 2008 Alpena B3 Biturbo, one of 44 that came to the UK. So if you want exclusive, then no one else has got one. You won't see another one at a car show. And again, if you want the nod, because Alpenas, you get the nod. M4, great car, but you won't get a nod in an M4. Wonderful motor car, but this is the one that screams exclusivity. And just, I love the detailing on Alpenas. You get things like this, the little seat embossings. You get that beautiful hand-built engine. You get, of course, the correct and real Alpena front spoiler. You don't want to know how much they are if you ever hit one on the curb. And of course, how do you spot a real Alpena wheel? It has no valve. The valve is in the middle, which, as you find out if you ever put a tyre on, is an absolute swine. Your tyre fitter will hate you for having those wheels, but everyone else will love you. Elliot's just walked into a chair. It's live television. So one of 44, 9 entries in the service book. Just so much better than a 335, so much better than an M4 cab. And you could buy this for between 10 and 12 grand. This one has done 110,000 with the exemplary service history that you would expect. Just a wonderful way to travel. Automatic waft machine, it's very, very quick, but it just looks so understated, so crisp, so clean. To me, and again, it's because I'm getting old now, I like things like old Rolls Royces, and I like understated cars. That is utterly mega. And at 10 to 12 grand, it could be on your driveway. Right, now we're getting into the true poster car stuff now. The stuff that you either had on your wall as a younger man or lady, or you want now. And certainly I think Aston Martin very much in the news this week with their latest Vantage that's come out. If you want the older Vantage, which I happen to think is even better proportioned, and I think is more diminutive and pretty, and these speedster humps are just unbelievable. So this one is a 2014, 7,000 miles, automatic, 1 owner from new, just the best colour. I don't know if Elliot can get the quality of the paint on this car, and also the quality of how it's been maintained, and also the depth of the metal flake. If that's coming across on camera, it really, you can feel like you can put your hand into it. It's ridiculous. So supplied and serviced by the same dealer. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So these are a quick old stick. These are 420 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, and you look like that. 45 to 50,000 pound to buy you that. It is as close to a brand new car. It's immaculate. There's not even a hint of wear on the seats. That's gorgeous. If you want a Vantage ready for summer, there she is. If you want to go V12, It's a shame I can't start this for you because the noise that these make, I do a little show called Motor Pickers with a friend of mine called Helen Stanley, and we had a V12 on, and it just sounds like God coughing, basically. It's the only way to describe it. 24,000 miles. I think the colour combination for me could not be stronger. I think the white with the black roof and the black detailing is mega. We've put best colour combination, beautiful condition, monster history as you'd expect, service book with 6 stamps, 5 of which are an Aston Martin dealer. And just come and have a look in here, look. You've got your Alcantara wheel, handbrake on the driver's side. Again, if you look, these cars are so much money new and make such a good second-hand buy. So it's got an aircon compressor fitted in June 23 at a cost of £1,600. It's just having its cherish plate taken off. So just to let you know, guys, cars on the table, we've got a slight battery drain issue with this car. When we've had it in here, we've had a quick look. I mean, you could disconnect the battery and it would solve all of that, but if you are not driving the car regularly and it's in storage, make sure you put a battery charger on, and also just keep a tiny bit back to investigate what that battery drain issue is. So we've listed all of that in the details. We try and give you as much as we can, but just give yourself 500 quid to get a good auto electrician looking at that, and have a perfect car. Right, moving on to possibly my favourite car. I don't really fit in these, which is such a shame. How about a 1991 Ferrari 348? TS. Now everybody knows 355s have gone absolutely ridiculous at the moment. The Chris Rea car is selling at the moment. That's mega money. That's going to be almost, you know, a huge amount of money. This is going to be far more realistic. And what's nice about this, left-hand drive. It spent a lot of time in Switzerland. It spent time in Canada. It's been all over the world, this little car. So the history is lower than we'd like it to be, but it's got a lot of provenance and not necessarily a fully stamped book. The 17,000 miles, if you look at the condition of the car, particularly the interior, to me looks very, very correct. Paint's lovely, that's all original as well. Supplied new to Switzerland, had a little bit of time in Canada, came to the UK here in 2016. It's got the shields on the wings, which is always a very, very nice touch. It was serviced twice in Switzerland. It's also then gone to Canada at 13,000 miles, and it came back at 17,000 miles. It's just had new belts, just had new tensioners here in the UK, so we've got the bills for that. And it's just a smashing thing. I like the Spiders very much because you've got the rigidity, you've got the chance to take the roof off, and also the weird thing is, actually, they make a little bit less than the full coupe, so actually you get, I think, a bit of a bargain. You could buy this car for somewhere between 40 and 45,000. Don't worry about the left-hand drive, guys. It really isn't a problem. Here in the UK, you simply won't care, and you get used to it very, very quickly. And also, the left-hand drive cars, because of the pedal positioning, I find as a tall person, you get a tiny bit more legroom in a left-hand drive Ferrari than you do in a right-hand drive one. And in a mid-engine car, that's quite important. But you do get a bargain. The two things that make this bargainous is the fact it's Spider Tiger roof, and you've also got the fact it's left-hand drive. So 40 to 45,000, with that mileage, that car will be worth a lot more were it right-hand drive, fully historied coupe. So there's a really great way of getting yourself into a genuine performance icon for not daft amounts of money. What can I say? So this is how Maranello were doing it. This is how we did it here in Blackpool. Could there be a more TVR colour than this? I think not. This makes Cadbury's Dairy Milk look unpurple. This is the most purple. I don't know how this is coming across on your television or phone, but imagine the purplest thing you've ever seen. Barney the dinosaur, probably. Imagine that times 1,000,000. That's the purple of this. It's full metal flake. It's very, very TVR. As you know, they did some mad colours. A 2000 Tuscan with 30,000 miles. It's got the private plate, that stays on it as well. It's been with the current owner for 12 years. There you go. The doors work beautifully. And if you look, if you're not familiar with TVRs of this era, it's like the interior designers were watching a lot of sci-fi and future space movies. It looks like aliens had designed the interior. So I've got a Cerbera from about the same era, and they're just like nothing else. There is a design aesthetic in these cars that nobody else was doing anything like. Only a TVR looks like that inside, and they're absolutely magnificent. They're also one of the best sounding cars you can buy, an awful lot of fun, great owners club. So they are genuine supercar performance, but the service bills, because a lot of parts are borrowed and shared, aren't as scary or as crazy as, say, stuff from Maranello. Just a fantastic car. What can I tell you? It's got a nice history with a large selection of past MOTs. It's got a current one till November 2024, and it passed its last one with no advisories. Number plate stays with it. It's just a lovely thing. Amazing Tuscan. It's only going to go up, but not yet stupid amounts of money. You could buy that between 19 and 21,000. I think TVRs are going to go for a resurgence. So I've got the Cerbera. Interestingly, a lot of people like Haggerty in their bull market list, and I was nothing to do with this, have quoted the Cerbera as one of the cars it thinks it's going to rise. Those prices are rising, and it will pull all the others up with it. The Tuscan is a particularly pretty car, really, really nice. Of course, with its roof, I mean, you get the whole Blackpool build quality, but that, believe me, as an owner of two, that is part of the charm of a TVR. You kind of live that because you get nothing looks like it, nothing performs like it, nothing sounds like it for twice or 3 times the money. And if you like purple, and I really like this purple, that's the most purple car in existence, I think. To buy it for that reason. Moving on, other end of the British taste scale, if you want something more understated, a bit more pedestrian, but no less lovely, look at this. And again, just marvel at the trophies in the back window of this 57 Magnet Veritone. Veritone means the two-tone colours, which I think is particularly attractive. I'm going to have to open this. And just as Elliot moves in here in a graceful arcing shot, just drink that in, guys. If you're watching from overseas, if you're one of our wonderful American or Australian or African or European viewers, that is, to me, pinnacle British interior design. In terms of the quality of the materials, the way it all hangs together, the ergonomics are really nice on this as well. And again, cars you don't see for sale very often, and cars you don't see for sale at all, or in this condition, never. So a trophy show-winning car, creditable mileage for the year, it's 58,946 currently, correctly registered on its original number as a historic vehicle, so it's exempt from absolutely everything. Drive this into London with a smile, going through all the cameras and nobody will care. And it's just a lovely thing. The history file is substantial because we've got restoration photos and invoices. There's invoices for parts, invoices for work. There's a note from the previous owner confirming the mileage of 33,000 miles at 1998, which is why we think the mileage currently is genuine. It's just a lovely thing. Mega cars, lovely to drive to a show. That will sit there at modern motorway speeds, bowling along, take the family, take the picnic in the back, and just a really beautiful car. And if you're in the MG scene, if you've got a Roadster or an MG Sports model, what would be nicer to add to your collection than that, which is maybe a little bit more usable on other days of the year, and you can take 3 or 4 mates or family with you. My love for the Porsche 997 knows no bounds. I'm lucky enough to own a 997 GTS. To me, it is the prettiest of all the 911s because you get the nicer lights. Not that I don't love a 996, and we've got a belter coming in a minute, but the 997 I think has the slightly prettier front, a very, very pretty back end, but it's the last little 911. After this, we go to 991 and 992, and they are physically quite large cars. So to me, the 997 is the absolute sweet spot of 911 ownership because they're pretty, they look like a 911. Dimensionally, they're much closer to the old cars than the new cars, and dynamically, they're a wonderful thing to buy. Now, inside, have a look at this. This scores very heavily because it's convertible, so it's going to be wonderful for summer, but the gearbox that I always want to see in a 911, it is a manual. So 32,000, great colour combination with very, very nice paint, wonderful, immaculate interior, one owner from new, and a good history. So there you've got all the things going for it. Wheels are immaculate, paint's immaculate, roof's immaculate. Adore the colour, very, very subtle. And you could buy that car for somewhere between 36 and 40,000 pounds. 911s are always good news because you can always service them, you can always find a home for them. And if you run this car up to 150,000 miles, somebody will still want to buy it. It's a usable supercar that you can have fun with every single day. There's kind of a back seat, sort of. You could definitely put a dog or some shopping in, or some very, very small children. But just a wonderful car. I just love mine. I just think they're the best thing that Porsche ever did. And nothing will touch, for me, the aesthetic dynamic balance. And it's a 4S as well, so you've got four-wheel drive but a manual, so a really nice drivable combination, where if you're going a little bit quick, it's perhaps the most forgiving of all the platforms, but you still get the joy of a manual. So monster thing, not ridiculous amounts of money. If you're seeing any of these big ticket items and think, I really would like to own that, I haven't quite got the readies, and I often find myself in that position, speak to our friends at Fast and Funded. They can put a credit line in place for you ahead of the auction. If you speak to them today on Wednesday, that will give them time. You could have a credit line up to the value of the top estimate waiting for you, and you can bid with confidence knowing that the money's there if you win. And because the next car, look at this. This is, for me, still a dream. It's still a dream I've never fulfilled. I was, I'm sure like many of you, obsessed with touring car in the 80s. Andy Rouse in particular, absolute hero. And the exploits of the Sierra RS 500, it was a reasonably successful rally car, but it was an incredibly successful touring car. And as a piece of homologation, I can remember going into the Ford dealership. My dad had a base model Sierra and literally pressing my nose up against that side window, thinking this was the coolest car in existence at the time in the 80s. And I still think that now. I still think there's a kudos and a presence to the Ford Sierra Cosworth that nothing else touches. The 3-door, they're all good, but the 3-door Because RS500s, we know, the true homologation car with the deeper front spoiler, the flipped up lip, they are house money now. We know that, we've seen those go for up to £500,000. But here is a car that you could get for probably a tenth of that, that is not a tenth of the fun, it's not a tenth of the collectability, and it's certainly not a tenth of the desirability. What can I tell you about this? Low owners, original dealer plates, pretty much a factory spec car, completely unmolested, a nice original plate, and can we just hat tip the font? Can we just hat tip the font? You don't get that font anymore. So just a very nice original car. Have a look through. We've got some good builds with it. We've got new tyres on there as well. And just a lovely, lovely, it's not perfect history. It's had some recommissioning and some retouching, but because of that, you are getting what I think is an utter bargain. This is a club that's quite difficult and quite expensive to get into. You could get yourself into this car for £50,000 or £60,000 for what is a lovely car with an unspoilt parcel shelf, which you always have to check. You always have to check the dash on a Cosy. That's uncracked and perfect as well. The interior is lovely. I mean, have a look. All the places where these go, all the things you've got to watch for, this is lovely. The bolsters are tight on the seats. Just a super straight and very, very lovely thing. As I say, top of this market is £500,000. You could buy into it for a tenth, or just over a tenth of that. With your fees on top, don't forget as well. But of all the cars we've seen so far, I think this is my favourite because I watched way too much touring cars as a kid. Could be yours, could be yours. And please come and see me. I want to chat to you about how jealous I am if you buy that car, because that is very much a bit of me. This is lovely. E46, everybody reckons the E46, talking about sweet spot cars, 997 is perhaps the best 911. E46 to many people is the ultimate of all 3 series. E46 M3s are becoming a very pricey commodity now. Hard thing to get into. The cabs still represent a great way to get a wonderful car at a sensible figure. So this is obviously a 3.2 convertible. It is SMG transmission, so this is going to give you your entry point into E46 M3 ownership. You can't really make the combination, I think, a more attractive package than that, because SMG is actually a very nice box and there's all sorts of things you can do. It's obviously a cab with a hardtop as well. Good service history, fantastic looking car. The guys who've driven this, it drives beautifully, and I can't stress enough, Guy, the way this car presents really is very, very nice. So it's got 8 stamps in the book. It's had the 1,200 mile service carried out by the supplying dealer Citroen as well. Loads of invoices. It's had new discs, new pads, new shocks, new batteries, and all sorts of bits and pieces to make this car nice. Have a look at what the top manual coupe prices are, and then sit down with a strong cup of tea, because you could buy this for 14 to 16. So if you do want to get yourself into an E46 M3, you don't want a basket case, you want a really nice car that doesn't need loads of money spending on, but you don't maybe have the 30 or 35 grand that the top of the market demands, a cab SMG is the ultimate way to do it. And actually, let's face facts, you can only drive at 70 miles an hour anyway. You're going to waft around with the roof down. Probably a nice way to do it. Over to this, talking of wafting, can't out-waft this. The Mercedes-Benz CL500, look in the Oxford English Dictionary, or indeed the German equivalent of the word waft, there will be a picture of this car. This is, you can't believe they made a coupe this big. So this is basically an S-Class coupe, isn't it? So everything that Mercedes knew about car technology, about car safety, was put into this car in 1999. And they are incredible, and of course they are pillarless, so they have this, I mean, just look at things like this. They will never make cars like this again. Look, that is one incredibly expensive stainless pressing that goes on. And the heft of this door, this is when Mercedes were building cars up to a quality rather than down to a price. And the CL500 is just next level. What's nice about this though is it's got a really good history, but it's a slightly higher mileage. So we know it's been used, we know it's been maintained, but because of that higher mileage, you're going to get, again, a veritable bargain. Low ownership, very nice colour combination, amazing service history, aircon blows ice cold, as we like to say in the motor trade. We've got 13 stamps in the book as well. And don't forget, this was an £83,000 car in 1999, when £83,000 would have bought you quite a substantial house in the 90s, you younger kids out there. And this would be between £7,000 and £8,000. So not a huge amount of money for what is an enormous amount of car. And like I say, if you like to buy your cars by the foot, this is one of the cheapest cars in here. So there you go, I like that very much. I would like to drive to work in that. You will devour an enormous amount of fuel, but you won't care. Moving on into the mini room, so come with me into the mini room. Welcome into the mini room, where surprisingly it's full of minis and metros, but we'll forgive that, same difference. Also a sneak peek, but come back for the extra video on this. We've started adding toys and fun things to the auctions because people are asking for it. And it also means even if you come with only a couple of £100 to the auction, you can still take something home. So we will have another video for those, so make sure you come back for that. But pressing on with this beautiful 1998 Rover 114 GTA, obviously a Metro refreshed and revised. I like these very much because you don't see many of them. The GTA is perhaps a bit optimistic. It's not really a sports car, but what it is very presentable, very cute, and really quite rare now. A couple of tiny bits to do. She's just starting to bobble around the edge of the roof. So just give yourself a little bit of budget left, guys, to get that perfect, because the rest of the car presents so beautifully. And if you look around things like the arches, they're just a tiny bit of surface corrosion, but she's a very sound, very level car. So all the places where these normally go, this one hasn't. But just bear that in mind. You can just see, look, just on the edge of the boot, very, very early stages of non-structural. So I would go into that early now, save it while it's cheap. If you do all this stuff now, it really won't cost much at all. If you let it sit, that's when it gets into a bit of a headache. But this car is lovely, 30,000 miles, 2 previous owners, the final year of the 114. And it's just a great little car. You can see a couple of tiny little marks on these side trims. So I would budget, guys, a couple of minuscule dents. And I'm being really picky because the car is a 1998. I mean, she's an old lady. She presents beautifully for what she is and how old she is. But if you want this car to be perfect, and I think the condition of the interior, which I will show you, justifies spending a tiny minute on the bodywork. Because look at that, the interior is like new. So I would have, as I say, spend a minute or two and a pound or two getting that exterior looking as good as the interior. It wouldn't cost you a lot to do it, and catch it early. It's always cheaper. But that car, it's no reserve. So that's a potential bargain. And it's interesting, isn't it? The British Leyland, Rover, BMC, all of the stuff that wasn't cool is now suddenly becoming very desirable. Everybody wants these cars. It's the whole weird car Twitter thing, isn't it? It's like Festival of the Unexceptional, and I've got 2 amazing cars to show you for that later. Everybody wants this stuff now, and it's starting to affect the price. So it will be a few thousand, budget a couple of hundred, and you'll have a really, really nice car. Brown Minis always look good. This is a Leland Mini 1000 with no reserve, and it's a project, but it's very, very tidy and pretty sound. You've got a few bubbles and blisters coming up. So are you looking for something that you could hoon around in, have a lot of fun, look very groovy, look very period correct in brown as well, and kind of knock the edges off literally and make it into a nice thing? I think I found your car. So we've got, look, a rally plaque on the front. What else have we got on the side? We've got some very, very spangly wheels. Got a few little rust blisters here, look. So this will all need sorting, guys. You're going to need to just bear in mind that although it's a presentable little car and you will have a lot of fun, she is just starting to bleb up. And like all these things, like with the 114, if you catch him early, it doesn't need to be horrendous. And with both cars, see little things like this. Just wants tiny detail sorting, but you've got the bones of a good car there. So low recorded mileage, runs and drives, period colour. So I think you could get that back on the road quite quickly. Whack an MOT on her, although you don't have to. I would always advise you put an MOT on every car, even if it's MOT exempt. But I don't think that's going to cost an enormous amount of money or time to get that to an MOT standard, because most of this rust is non-structural, and they would let you sort that as you go. So there is a wonderful project. Because of that, it's no reserve. We've got some very expensive Minis in this sale, some of the best on sale in the UK at the moment, but we've also got some accessible stuff for you to have some fun with while you're doing it up. And that's very much that. No reserve. You tell me what you think that's worth. A 1989 Aston Mini Flame. So they made 1,000 of these, and they're really nice. I do like special edition Minis. You can't go wrong, can you, with the red and white colour combination. Paddy did it first, and of course off the back of that, they kept going back to it whenever they could. It's got 12-inch Mini lights. On the button, ready to go, starts and drives. It's a lovely little thing. It had an MOT test, which it flew through. Again, you always look on the seams on Minis. This car to me is just genuine. If you look, there's a few tiny little blebs just starting where all Minis go. It's not bad around the bottom of the screen. Kind of really, really early stages. All this stuff is very, very catchable. Tiny bit of very light surface corrosion, and these channels are very good. So not immaculate, not perfect, but priced accordingly, because you could buy that for 5 to 6 grand, but nothing that you couldn't keep on top of. And I would advise with all these cars, guys, if you get them early. Spend a little bit, little and often, with bodywork on an old British car, then it doesn't hurt too much in one go. Now this is very special. I used to have 2 Scale Electric Mini Clubmans, 1275 GTs, and I think the Roy Haynes front, the Clubman front, I like it more. I know it's the unpopular opinion. They're much more fun to work on because you've got a bit more room, but because so many of the motorsport Minis were this shape, It's the one I want. It looks so good with the 1275. And look inside here, look. Tell me you don't want to sit in there. Look, it's got the buckets, it's got the wheel. Not original, but my God, it looks good. Really rare example of this car, lovely condition, tons of paperwork. Subtle mods, but I think they're the kind of mods that even if you are a purist, you're going to have to give that a nod, because everybody was doing that in period. Not only have they done a really nice seat of very high quality, but they've done it exactly as it would have been done back in the 70s. We've got amazing spec. It's got a 90 brake horsepower engine. It's got a 15 grand engine in this car as well. And just so much nice stuff. Nice little touches like battery isolator. Proper thing. Do check out the engine spec on this car. Someone has just blown their brains out getting an enormous engine put into this car. It is fast. 90 brake horsepower in a Mini feels like 200 brake horsepower in a normal car. But you could buy that car really for probably about the cost of the engine, 16 to 18,000 pounds for a true rocket ship. And I guarantee 70 mile an hour in that car will feel like 170 mile an hour. If you want a car that will thrill and entertain within the legal speed limit and keep your license safe, it's that one. Mini pickups, please enter in the comments your own jokes about Drew Pritchard adding a Union Jack tilt to the one that we did on the show. This one isn't quite as nice as the one that we did on the show, but it has got massive potential. 1977. It says here, my colleagues have put a satisfying restoration project. It's going to be quite an extensive restoration project, guys, as well. She's very savable, of that I have no doubt, but I would advise you to either be a welder or know a welder if you're going to buy this car. She will need some extensive panel work, but what's good news is it's complete and everything's there and everything's fixable and savable. Very rare version of a pickup, it's hard to find. It's got all its additional parts, it's tax and MOT exempt, and it does roll, it's not seized. I really like how they've done this. So obviously it was done with a sort of Cooper-esque look. I'd kind of almost go back to that. So expect many hours of fun ahead of you if you buy that car, but what you'll end up with is something very, very rare. We had a lot of people trying to buy ours when we did ours, and it made quite a lot of money, even with Drew's Union Jack on the back. So the bed's really rusty. It's been cut to allow the captive nuts on the rear subframe. So can't stress enough, needs panels, needs welding, needs paint, needs everything, but you don't buy them at all. They never come up for sale. 6 to 7 grand to buy you that, all correctly registered and V5'd. You'll notice with this one, the engine is not in the car. So please bid with that in mind. You will have to put that back in yourself. Now this is an interesting one. There's a lot of chat on the Mini forums about this. 1962 Aston Mini Cooper. There's a strong rumour, but please provenance this for yourself. This car may have competed in the 1964 Monte Carlo Rally. I would provenance that yourself, but what we have got here is an incredibly original little car. It's been owned by the same family since 1965, so I would say they're probably able to tell if it had been competing. Photos and video appear to show the car in the 64 Monte Carlo Rally. So I would really do some digging on that, because if that's true, you might get yourself a bit of a competition bargain there. It's got a V5C, it's got a 1275 engine and gearbox included. It's got the potential, hasn't it? If you could provenance that, and never believe the naysayers, guys, because it's worth buying a car and taking a punt. I bought a Porsche flat nose once, completely unprovenance, that everybody told me was not a real flat nose. So I paid unprovenanced money for it. I then managed to provenance the car, and then basically in one email, doubled my money. So if you think a car might have a tiny bit of history, pay the right amount of money for a car that doesn't, then if you're the lucky one that can prove the tale, you're in the money, my friend. So bid on it for what it is, do your homework. There might be a payday at the end of it for you. And also, even if there's not, you'll have a great fun going down that rabbit hole and trying to find the backstory. This is super nice. Smooth roof, minivan. Again, a commercial vehicle that you don't see come up very often at all. 61, floor start, smooth roof, 4,600 miles. So obviously it's been extensively restored at some point. We were getting very excited because when we first saw this, we thought it was a 60 because it is on one of the paperwork that it's a 60, but actually checking the DVLA, it's a 61. It's still phenomenally early, but it's not the first year. But for that reason, it's still very, very special. Floor start is what you want, smooth roof. You can see you've got the specific drip rails that the commercial's got. These are such good news because they're a good looking car anyway. Longer wheelbase, so they ride better than the standard Mini. You can sign write them with your business. And if you're going to a classic car show, you can take a load of stuff like your picnic table, your tent, your deck chairs in the back. Now it is really nice. It doesn't really need anything. You just jump in and drive it and go. And because of that, you are going to need to find between 15 and 17,000 pounds. But believe me, it's worth it. And going back to the point we always keep making, you can't restore them for that money. You just can't find one, put it together for that quality for 17 grand. Can't be done. Right, moving outside, I'm gonna get my big boy coat and take you to the fantastic things in the outside lot. Well, we're outside now, I've got my top on. You like a bit of variety here, don't you? And we like to sell you high value. And again, talking about things you buy by the foot, this is probably the biggest thing we've ever sold at Manor Park, actually. Now, if you are a motorcycle or club racer, you've got a few quid to spend, but you want to have the ultimate weekend experience. If you are a race team or you want to build a race team, I'm going to save you a lot of money and a lot of time. Here is a beautifully prepared race trailer, and do have a look. If you're interested in this, guys, go online and have a look. So this is fitted out for a British Superbike. It is very, very nicely done. Someone's obviously spent a lot of money. You've got tool chests in the back, you've got accommodation, bathroom, kitchen, and like I say, we've done like a mini MTV Cribs walk around online. Just needs de-stickering, obviously, and then putting your sponsors on, and away you go. These cost obscene amounts of money, which you know if you are looking to buy one. And if you would like this, somewhere between 50 and 60 grand would get you this. So come and bid on the day, save yourself a fortune kitting your own out. It would work for so many things: touring car, club racing, British Superbike, whatever it is you're into, re-sticker and go. Don't forget though, because it is what it is and how it's been used, there is VAT to go on top of that. But you'll probably be VAT registered yourself and you'll get it all back, so it doesn't matter. So that's good fun. These I adore. Mini S Coupe. Don't you say, I like Minis, but I think some of the later Minis get a little bit big, a little bit stodgy, and kind of lose the plot of what Frank Stephenson was trying to do with the newer shape. Whereas I think the S Coupe really did take the ball and ran with it, and I think this is actually one of the prettiest and rarest, and therefore I think going forward, one of the more potentially collectible Minis. This has done 43,000 from new. It's a 2012. It's a coupe, 9 stamps in the service book. It's got Bi-Xenons and John Cooper Aero Works kit, which again, if you're looking for a car that might make money in 10, 15 years, I do think it's these. I think it's the John Cooper versions of these will be the one that everybody wants, because they are an eyeful. They drive beautifully, they're very, very stiff, a lot of fun. Recent MOT, no advisories, it's got a Garmin sat-nav in it as well. What else can I tell you? Just ridiculous amounts of fun. 1600cc turbocharged, absolute go-kart. I think potentially future collectible looks. And you've got the John Cooper kit. 5 to 6 grand would buy you that. I think either tuck it away and make some money or have an enormous amounts of fun with it for not a lot of cash. Either way, you'll be winning. Again, same kind of ingredients really. A 2005 Cooper S convertible, no reserve. Best time to buy these kind of cars is as we come into spring, because they haven't quite made their full money yet. You could get a bargain. A couple of bits to do. You know, spend a Sunday afternoon just polishing the headlights, that'll get rid of that discoloration. But the car is very, very level. It's had a lot of money spent on it. It's 170 brake horsepower. It's got the 17s, probably one of the nicest colour combinations with the grey metallic, the black leather and the roof. What else can I tell you? It's got the buddy colour insert, it's got 2 keys, full book pack, it's got the V5C, it's got the MOTs, loads of invoices as well, and was driven here 170 miles to the auction room. So that is a no reserve potential bargain that you, my lovely friends on YouTube, get to tell me what you think that's worth. But I think there is a huge amount of fun to be had for the summer. Now these are just immense, aren't they? Honda Civic Type R. My good lady had the sport version of this, so obviously not as quick, not a true Type R, but had the body kit. And that car was an immense amount of fun. That was just a 1600 injection. This is the full fat Type R, this one. And what's great about it, it's very level, very tidy little car, but it's on 100,000 miles. It's going to be quite price rangy. It's not going to cost a huge amount of money to buy. You could just keep this as this is, just have it as a track car, just absolutely terrorise your local B roads up to the speed limit, of course. Been with the current owner since 2015, largely original spec. It's got some Enkai caps on the wheels. I think they're quite cool, but you can swap those back to Honda if that's your thing. 8 stamps in the book, had a new clutch in June 2023, so again, something you don't have to do. Loads of MOT history, loads of paperwork present. It's raining, guys, so I can't be my normal diligent self and tell you how good the paint is, but it looks very, very good, I have to say. I would suggest at some point it's had a wing painted, probably for corrosion on the front, because there's a tiny mismatch there. But, guys, this is not going to be huge amounts of money. You could buy this, well, you tell me, because it's no reserve. Civics are such good news. If you've not driven one of these are, in terms of the engine, the note, the whole chassis package, and the amount of fun you can have, really, for not a lot of cash. This is an exemplary hot hatch that will last forever because it's a Honda. And just, yeah, enormous amounts of fun. No reserve, don't even think about it. Get registered to bid, whack a bid on. Who knows where it might end up? You might have the ultimate B-road go-kart or track day toy. A lovely wafting Jaguar S-Type 2004 2.7 V6 SE in a non-more British colour of metallic British racing green with tan leather. It's done 102,000 miles. So again, it's not going to be an expensive car. What we're trying to do with the cars out here, guys, is give you all the fun of classic car ownership for the best value possible. That's what these cars are. This is our Woolworths pocket money toy section. Really desirable, very lovely stuff. It isn't going to be enormous amounts of money. We want everybody to come and enjoy the ice cream van. Let's have a break in filming and have an ice cream. Join me back after the ice cream. That's optimistic, isn't it? Ice cream this time of year. Sandwich truck, woo! Right, join me back after a sandwich. Well, I've had my sandwich, I can carry on now. You know, we have to eat. That's how I got to be 6'4". So what can I tell you about this one? 3 former keepers, original specification, original leather interior and wooden trim. It's very nice. Elliot will look through the window for you here. And loads of bills for work undertaken. Don't buy a big old Jaguar of any era without loads of bills. This car has 11 stamps in the service book, plus bills and invoices for work carried out. So it's been looked after. She's been loved and taken care of. It's a 2.7 litre turbo diesel engine, so she wafts. She's going to be cheap to run, elegant, timeless, and most important of all, great value. You're not going to spend many thousands of pounds to take that car home. It's going to be a wonderful, usable, everyday car, as is the S-Type 3 litre V6 SE. So this is the other end of the engine spectrum. It's got some Team Dynamics Equinox wheels. I used to have a set of these on my 7 Series actually. I rather like this wheel. These are stainless steel lips as well, so you never have to polish them. Nice car, got some subtle mods on this one I think. 74,000, 1 owner from new, 11 main dealer and Jaguar specialist stamps, last serviced at Citroen Jaguar, ladies and gentlemen, on the 7th of October 2023. Ask yourself, what kind of owner services a car from 2001, so a 23-year-old car, at the main dealer? I'll tell you, the kind of person I would very much like to buy a car off. So this car has an exemplary service history and it's known reserve. So it's a gorgeous colour, it's like this petrol blue, lovely tan interior. The wheels I really don't mind at all, so I've actually bought a set of these myself in the past. Kind of period correct for this type of car. 2000 was when those wheels came out. It's lovely, it sits really well. It's got all sorts of bits and pieces. So we've got the cream interior, the 3 litre V6, the wonderful service history, and no reserve. To me, that's ticking all sorts of boxes. I'm not a massive Leaper fan. You can always take that off if it's not for you. It's got the mesh grille, which is very nice. The S-Types, I wasn't sure when they came out. The styling wasn't necessarily to my taste. There's a very famous car that Dell did at Maguire's. Maguire's did a really, really nice S-Type show car. Search Maguire's S-Type, have a look what they did with that car, and then realise that you probably want one a lot more than you think, because all it takes is a set of Dunlop racing wheels, a tiny bit of lowering, and they look sensational. So check that one out, you might want to buy it. This I'm in love with, 1998 XJR. I think I've said this so many times before, so the XJ40s, the X308, which was the first version of this, and then, so the 308 is this one with a later indicator, and the one that came in between, which is the 300, I think are the 3 prettiest modern Jaguars. They're the most elegantly proportioned, they're kind of the thinnest wing line, the nicest front and rear styling, the best shaped glass houses. They're absolutely beautiful, and of course this one is the spec that you want. This is the XJR 4 litre, it's nice and clean, fresh MOT, no advisories, good service history. And I'm looking around, guys, as well. Things like the calipers and discs look like relatively recent additions. A set of these wheels alone, you go on eBay and try and find a set of needing refurbished splits, those 18-inch splits, they're £1,000. That's a really desirable wheel, the XJR wheel. Interior is gorgeous and in very nice condition. Being the later one, it's even got the useful cup holder, which you wouldn't believe how good it is to have one of the Jag XJs with the cup holders in, because it makes it so much more usable. And if you look at our underbody video, there's a really nice bit of underbody prep on this car as well. But this car is going to be a mere £5,000 or £6,000, and I think because it's different from the contemporary BMWs and Mercedes of the time, this is our version of an M Sport. This is our car that would socket to an AMG in contemporary terms. I just think it's much better. I think it's much more pretty, a little bit different, and just a beautiful, beautiful, well-proportioned car. Very interesting that people like Richard Hammond are bringing his car back on his channel. You've got people like Auto Alex doing a very similar thing. The great and the good of YouTube are realising how elegant and wonderful these cars are as an ownership proposition, and now you could too. So between £5,000 and £6,000, you could take that car home very quickly because it's phenomenally fast. This is beautiful. Jaguar Sovereign 4 litre. I am going through my Jaguar XJ period at the moment. I just think they're the most beautiful cars. I love this. So the XJ, it's well worth watching some of the documentaries if you're as sad as I am of an evening. I like to get a YouTube documentary on and look at, there's some fantastic original Jaguar test footage of these, and you can see how much work went into these cars. This is great, wonderful colour combinations, got a bit of D-lam on the windscreen there that you might have to keep a little eye on and get sorted for your MOT. Correct set of mixing tyres, all factory colour combination, which I think is one of the nicest. Future Classic, these are cheap, 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 and this is no reserve, so you can tell me how cheap it's going to be. You just cannot get any more waft for the money, and find yourself a good specialist. I use David Marks in Nottingham, they're brilliant guys. Not cheap to run an old Jag if you do it properly, and I would recommend that you do, because the problem with a lot of Jags is the people that don't, then the next owner down the line has to foot the bills. But this has got some lovely stuff. It's got great opportunity to purchase a little bit of England, and values are going up, and the 4 litre is a particularly nice car. So beautiful car, 4 litre, great colour combination, the best wheels I think as well, and you tell me what it's worth. Another no reserve, this car is back, and I'm really worried about that because I so nearly put a bid on this car last time. Because again, when did you last see one? 2001 Alfa Romeo 166 2 litre twin spark, which again to me is a bit of a sweet spot. So you've got this wonderful big Italian saloon. Nobody styles big saloons quite like the Italians do. It's only done 42,000 miles, so you've probably got a good bit of life left in it. It's very, very nice on the body, original book pack, and I just can't even think of the last time I saw a 166 on the road. And I think you'd easily get another 100,000 miles out of this if you looked after it, and there's really nothing to do. Let's have a look inside. So it was registered in January 2001. This Grigio Nettuno is unique to this car as well, supplied new in Surrey. It's got a lovely history, we've got so much provenance, we've checked the climate, that's ice cold as well. And I just think at no reserve, you could buy this for a few thousand. This would be very low thousands, this car. And if you're looking for a sensible daily, I keep banging on about don't have a lease car, don't spend 300 or 350 pounds a month buying a lease car. Get something like this or that, run it every single day, save 300 and 350 pounds a month, and even keeping on top of the maintenance properly, you're still quids in. And in 5 years' time, that's maybe done 100,000 mile. I bet you still get your money back. I bet you get every penny back that you put into it. And you'll have a lot more fun, and you'll be a lot more stylish, and you'll be much more interesting to talk to at parties. This one's back in again, but with no reserve. The ultimate antiques dealer wagon, the ultimate way of transporting you, many members of your family or your dog in style. And again, talking about cars that exude old money, that everybody wants to talk to you, and cars that beat the system. Old Mercs. Now she's done big mileage because they do big mileage, 182,000. But don't forget, Mercs of this era, of this quality, if correctly serviced, will easily do 250,000, easily. They'll just fly through that. I've seen many of these up at 300, 350, 400,000. They are built to that quality, and this one has a monster spec. So low owners as well, very little use recently, but it's just got everything. So it's got the heat insulated glass, the headlamp washers, it's got the sport chassis, it's got the baggage rack, the cargo anchorage, the wood trim. Somebody ticked a lot of boxes back in the day, which means you don't have to. That's a very nice car. It's no reserve. Somebody could bag the bargain of daily driven classics at this next sale, and it could be you. Now this is fun. I might even have a bid on this. We've got Festival of the Unexceptional. If you're not familiar with this great event, our friends at Haggerty run this great event, which is kind of the upside down. You go to most car shows, you want to turn up in an Aston Martin or Ferrari. At the Festival of the Unexceptional, as the name suggests, you want the most ordinary base model car that you used to see everywhere on every street corner, and now all of a sudden they've all disappeared. Like, when was the last time you saw a Rover 25 1.6 IS? And look at this on trims. You get kudos, extra points for turning up at the Festival of the Unexceptional on trims. We've got a lovely bit of pink paint fade, which I'm sure will buff up beautifully as well. We're missing a mirror cap, so she needs some love. She needs a little bit of work, but 22,000 miles, which we are pretty sure, looking at all the provenance of the car, is genuine. She needs a bit of love. She needs that mirror cap. It's been self-serviced, so it has got a history, but it's not a dealer or garage independent history. But what you do have here, my friends, is a car that you don't see anymore, and I guarantee you, I'll speak to my friends at Haggerty, if you buy this, we will find you a place at the Festival of the Unexceptional where you will, believe it or not, turn up in this and be greeted like a god. You really will. People will swoon over you and want to come and talk to you about your wheel-trimmed Rover 25 1.6 IS. I particularly like it. I think they're very well styled. They drive very well. This is nice, look. This is, I think we might have a sunroof leak here. If you look at this on the top. This car, ladies and gentlemen, does not have to be a lot of money because we've got a bit of lack appeal, a little bit of a leaking roof. So she's very much a work in progress. You will buy this for the cost of probably a few months car payments. It's going to be that kind of bargain. And like I say, bring it to the Festival of the Unexceptional, where we will greet you like a long lost relative. And that, my friends, I believe, is the end of this first video. So please like and subscribe. If you see anything you like in this video, go onto the website, pull the description, pull down the videos, pull down the book packs, anything you want, and you still got time, if you're clever enough to watch these early, to get us to walk you through the car or talk you through the car. But either way, register to bid, manorparkclassics.com, and I will see you on Saturday the 17th. Fun starts, 9 o'clock, video 2 coming up.